Hello, fifth grade, and welcome to lesson 5-6, use sharing to divide with greater dividends. So we're going to continue what we've been doing in the previous lesson, but our dividend, our number that's going to be under our division bridge, is a larger number. So we're starting with a bigger number than we were before, and then we're completing the same steps to help us divide that we've used in previous lessons. Let's go ahead and watch our short video lesson and then hop into our notes as always.
How can you record division with a 2-digit divisor and a 4-digit dividend? Jake works at a flower shop. The shop just received a delivery of 1,830 roses. If the roses are distributed evenly among 15 coolers, how many roses should Jake put in each cooler? You can use place value and area models to solve the problem. There are not enough thousands to put 1,000 in each group, so regroup the thousands into hundreds. 1800s divided into 15 equal groups is 100 in each group. 15 groups of 100 equals 1,500. Divide 33 tens into 15 equal groups. How many tens are in each group?
Select your answer.
There are 2 tens in each group. 15 groups of 20 equals 300. 30 ones divided into 15 equal groups is 2 ones in each group. 15 groups of 2 equals 30. Nothing is left over. So 1,830 divided by 15 equals 122, because 15 times 122 equals 1,830. There should be 122 roses in each cooler with no roses left over.
All right, so let's take a look at what they did here. So they looked at the hundreds place, right? So we have thousands, hundreds, tens, and ones. So they said, how many hundreds, how many groups of 15 fit in here? So they said 15 times 100 is 1,500, right? So they put the 1 above the hundreds group. They subtracted 1,500, and they were left with 330. Okay, so then they said, how many tens? So now we're working in the tens group. How many tens, how many 15s in groups of tens can go into this remainder, which was 330? Well, if we did 15 times 2 tens, or 20, that will give us 300. So 330 minus 200 left us with 30. And then 15 times 2 ones gave us the 30. And we were able to subtract that off evenly with no zeros. Now, if you're doing it traditionally, the regular long division, we're going to look not at the 1 by itself, but at the 1 and the 8. So you're looking at the 18. So 15 goes into 18 one time. You subtract off the 15, you end up with 3, you drop the next 3, which would have given you 33. 15 goes into 33 two times, which would have been 30, or 30 tenths. You subtract it off and you're left with 31s. So 15 goes into 32 times, minus the 30 gives you the 0 over here. So this all works the exact same way. It's just you're not dropping all the, here you're dropping all the digits at the same time and you're working with one place value at a time. The other way, you're working with individual place values, but you're dropping each place value one at a time. Let's take a look at our notes for this lesson. So how can you divide with a 2-digit divisor and 4-digit dividend? So here it says the city built a skate park that cost $3,240 and will be paid for over 2 years in equal monthly payments. How much is each monthly payment? So there's a couple things you need to pay attention to in this question. We know the cost is $3,240. We know it's paid monthly for 2 years, and we want to figure out the monthly cost. So we know 1 year is 12 months. So 2 years is going to be 24 months. So I'm going to need to divide the cost, the total cost, which is the 3,240, into 2 years worth of months, which is 24 months. So I need to take that 3,240, divide it by 24 months. Now here, we're going to work in, we can't use the 3 by itself. We're going to use a 32 or 3,200. 3,200. So 24, how many hundreds go into 3,200? Well, one group. So 24, put a 1 in the hundreds group right here, gives you 24 hundreds. You subtract the 3,200s minus the 2,400s, you're left with 8 in the hundreds group. So then you drop the 4. So 24, how many hundreds or how many tens go into, or how many groups of 24 go into 84? So 84, 24 times 3 will give you 72 or 72 tens because we're working in the tens group. So 84 tens minus 72 tens leaves you with 12 tens. So 12 tens, which is 120 when we drop this next zero. 24 goes into 125 times. So 24 times 5 gives us 120 with 0 remainder. So 3,240 divided by 24 months gives them a monthly payment of $135. To check our work, we're going to use the inverse operation, and we're going to do 135 times 24. We add our two partial products, and we did get back to 3,240. Now let's take a look at another example. It says the art club raised $3,657 for new art supply kits. If each art supply kit costs $23, how many kits can they buy? So I need to take my 3,657 and divide it into groups of 23 because each kit costs $23. So we know that 23 does not go into 3 by itself. So let's think about 36. We'll use the next digit after it. 23 goes into 36. There's only one group of 23 in 36 because two groups would be 46. So that wouldn't work. So 23 times 1 give us 23. We subtract that from the 36. We end up with 13. We drop our next digit, which is a 5. So now we have 135. 23 goes into 135 5 times. 23 times 5 is 115. That's as close as we can get without passing it. So I subtract 135 minus the 115, and I'm left with 20. Then I drop my last digit, which is the 7. Now I need to think 23 goes into 207 how many times? Well, 23 times 10 is 230. So that's too high. But 23 times 9 equals 207 with 0 remainder. So I subtract off the 207, I'm left with nothing. So 3,657 divided by 23 gave me 159. Now I'm going to use my inverse operation here to check my work. I'm going to do my 159 and I'm going to multiply it by 23 to see if I get back to my original dividend, which was the $3,657. So I did the 159 times 23, found my two partial products, added them together, and I did get back to my original number. So the art club can buy 159 new art supply kits. Okay, next it says find each quotient. So we have 7,905 divided by 35. So think 35 does not go into 7, but 35 does go into 79 2 times. 35 times 2 is 70. So I put my 2 over here above that last digit that I used. I subtract the 70, and I'm left with 9. Then I drop my next digit, which is a 0. So now I have to think 35 goes into 90 how many times? Well, again, we can only go 2 times. 35 times 2, which will get us to 70, because 35 times 3 is going to take us up to 105, and that's too far. So 35 times 2 is 70. Subtract the 70 from the 90. I'm left with 20. Then I drop my 5. So now I have 205. So 35 times what will get me as close to 205 without passing it? 35 times 5 got me to 175. That's as close as I could get. So I did the 205 minus the 175, and I'm left with a remainder of 30. So 225, remainder 30 is going to be my quotient. Now I could do the inverse operation here and check my work as well. Our next example is 2,836 divided by 11. So there's no groups of 11 in 2, so let's look at the 28. There's two groups of 11 in 28. 11 times 2 is 22. I subtract that off, and I'm left with 6. I drop the next digit, which is a 3. So now I have to think 11 times what will get me close to 63. Now 11 times 6 is 66, and that's too high. So I have to do 11 times 5, which is 55. I subtract that, and I'm left with 8. And then I drop my next digit, which is an 8. 11 times 8 is equal to 88. So I have no remainder here. So 2,838 divided by 11 is equal to a quotient of 258. Now our next example is 5,092 divided by 38. So I set up my 5,092 under my division bridge, my 38 on the outside. So there's no groups of 38 in 5, but there is a group of 38 in 50, one group. So I subtract the 38, I write my 1 above that last digit that I used, minus the 38, left me with 12. So now I can drop and work with my next digit, 129. The closest I can get to 129 with 38 is 38 times 3, which gave me 114. I subtract them and I'm left with 15. Then I can drop my next digit, which is a 2. 152 is the number I'm going to work with now. So 38 times 4 will give me 152. So I'm able to subtract that off and have 0 remainders. I do my inverse operation to check. 134 times 38, find my partial products, add them together, and I did get back to 5,092. All right, let's take a look at our guided practice. So here we have 3,710 divided by 18. I stacked it under the bridge. Now 18 goes into 37 2 times. 18 times 2 is 36. So I put the 2 above that last digit. I'm left with 1. I drop my next one. 18 does not go into 11, so I put a 0 up there. 18 times 0 is 0. 11 minus 0 is 11. So then I drop my last digit, which is a 0. So now I have 110. 18 goes into 110 6 times. So 18 times 6 is 108. And I'm left with a remainder of 2. So to do my inverse operation, I'm going to do that 206 times 18. I found my partial products, added them together, then I added my remainder of 2, which got me back to 3,710. For number 2, 4,632 divided by 15. So I can't put it in, there's no groups of 15 and 4, so I'm going to look at my 2 digits together. There's 3 groups of 15 and 46. So 15 times 3 is 45. I subtract that and I'm left with 1. I drop my next digit, so now I have 13. Now there's no groups of 15 in the number 13, so I put a 0 up there. 15 times 0 is 0. 13 minus 0 is 13. And then we can work with our next digit. Now I have 132 that I'm working with. So 15 goes into 132 only 8 times. 15 times 8 is 120. I subtract that and I have a remainder of 12. I use my inverse operation. I'll do my 308 times 15 to find my product. And then I'm going to add that remainder of 12. And I see that I did get back to my original number of 4,632. For 3, 4, and 5, we're going to be doing the same process. 3,332 divided by 30. There's no groups of 30 and 3, but there is one group of 30 and 33. So I put the 1 above the last digit that I used, subtract off the 30. I'm left with 3. I drop my next digit, so I'm working with 33 again. Put another 1. 30 times 1 is 30. 33 minus 30 left me with 3. And then I dropped my 2. 30 goes into 32 one time. Subtract that. I'm left with a remainder of 2. Multiply to do my inverse operation. 111 times 30 is 3,330 plus that 2 remainder gave me 3,332. For number 4, we have 1,013 divided by 25. 25 does not go into 1 or 10. So we're going to look at 101. 25 times 4 is 100. So I put that 4 above that last digit that I used. 101 minus 100 left me with 1. And then I drop my next digit, which is a 3. Now there's no groups. There's 0 groups of 25 and 13. So I'll put my 0 up here. minus 0 leaves me with a remainder of 13. So 25 times 40 got me to 1,000. 1,000 plus that 13 remainder got me to 1,013. And for number 5, I have 916 divided by 40. There's no groups of 40 and 9, so I look at 91. There's 2 groups of 40 and 91. So 40 times 2 is 80. I subtract that off. I'm left with 11. Then I drop my 6. So now I have to think how many groups of 40 are in 116. So again, I can only do 2 groups. So 116 minus that 80 times, that's the 40 times 2, left me with 36. So my answer here is 22 with a remainder of 36. I'm going to multiply my 40 times 22, got me to 880, plus the 36 remainder got me back to 916. So when you're using your inverse operation on a division problem that had a remainder, remember to add your remainder to the product when you multiply those numbers by each other, because that's still part of your answer. So you're going to multiply your quotient and your divisor to find your partial answer, and then you're going to add your remainder to find out if it matches your original dividend. That takes us to the end of this lesson. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, have an amazing day. Take care. Bye-bye.